Yo, what up, YouTube? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Ballroom Boxing. So today we're going to talk about Showtime, ShowBox rather, the new generation. Now, I like ShowBox. I've been watching ShowBox for a long time. I've been watching ShowBox ever since the series first started. You know, I grew up watching Friday Night Fights, which used to broadcast on ESPN, and that was one of my favorite things to do on Fridays. Me and my uncle watching Friday Night Fights and stuff. But ShowBox, I think it's the next generation. I said the new generation, but ShowBox, the next generation. This past Friday, yesterday, because today is Saturday, September 22nd. Now I am going to put another video out talking about the entirety of that card, but the featured bout, or the premiere bout, was a kid Oshaki Foster versus John Fernandez from Spain. Now I've seen, I believe, only one of his fights before where he scored a knockout on the opponent, and for the most part, John Fernandez is pretty good. He's a pretty solid fighter, you know. I mean, kind of what you expect from a European fighter. You know, he's pretty one-dimensional. The kid does have some power. He does have a pretty nice jab. You know, he has a decent chin. He took some punishment from Oshaki Foster, and he kept coming forward for the most part. But his footwork was subpar compared to Oshaki Foster. His hand speed couldn't keep up. I mean, Oshaki Foster pretty much put on a clinic for real. I mean, Fernandez did get off some good shots. I will give him that. He did let go some good shots, and they are lightweights, I believe, 130 pounds, or I think they I'm sorry, featherweights, 130 pounds, 126 to 130, I believe. Lightweights or featherweights or super featherweights. I can't recall right offhand, but Oshaki Foster. Now I don't recall any of his fights. I watch ShowBox, you know, every time they come out with an episode, and I'm sure I've seen him before. But apparently he was a young man who allowed his knowledge of his advanced boxing skill basically cloud his judgment for the most part. He was very cocky and arrogant, and I would say because of his, you know, what, like a lot of naturally talented people, they develop this arrogance, this air about them, you know, where they feel as though they're untouchable. They don't need to do this. You have natural talent, so you don't need to train as hard as other people because you got natural talent. You can do what other people do without even thinking about it. But the thing is, though, in order to be a great fighter, instead of just a good fighter with natural ability, you have to couple your natural ability with hard work and dedication, training, staying in the gym. And that's what Oshaki Foster started doing after he suffered some losses. Never been dropped before in a fight, never been knocked out, but he did have some decision losses against him, and after which, and also having some troubling personal issues that he had to sit down for. He came back and became a gym rat, and it's showing his rededication to the sport. He put on a really good fight last night against John Fernandez, where it looked as though he actually got buckled in, I can't recall which round, because it was a 10-round fight, I believe, and he got buckled in the first half of the fight. I don't recall. It was between round 1 and 5, where it was kind of a delayed reaction, buckling of the knees, and it was right at the end of the round also. But it didn't intimidate him because he stuck with the same game plan. And he let off some pretty good. He hit Fernandez with some pretty good shots. I mean, he was catching him on the fly. I mean, he was jabbing over top of his jab. You know, and was switching directions. You know what I'm saying? He was with a lot of lateral movement. Now, what Oshaki Foster was doing last night, most decafs will say is running, but moving in a circle around your opponent, lateral movement, is one of the first things they teach you in boxing. Aside from teaching you how to shadow box and how to actually throw proper punches, they teach you how to punch and move laterally. You understand? Those are some of the basic things they teach you. So any fighter who doesn't do that, and any trainer or any sportscaster or boxing commentator that says that a person using lateral movement is running, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because that's boxing 101. Because the object of fighting is to hit and not get hit. And O'Shaquie Foster did that with precision last night. Let's not get it twisted. John Fernandez isn't a bum. I think his first name is John. I hope I'm not messing it up. He's not a bum, you know. And everybody he's fighting is going to be O'Shaquie Foster. And whoever else he fights is going to have a hard time with this kid. O'Shaquie Foster didn't have it wasn't easy what O'Shaquie Foster was doing. He just made it look easy. But it wasn't easy what he was doing, because he had to burn through a lot. His conditioning had to be top notch to keep moving the entirety of the fight the way he did. I was pretty impressed with that. And I actually hope to see O'Shaquie Foster again soon, which, based on that performance, we will see him on ShowBox again. But yeah, just a little disclaimer at the end of the video to let you guys know. You know, here at Ballroom Boxing, I am not interested in the fighter's pockets. You know, if the fighter isn't complaining about what they're getting paid or not getting paid, I have absolutely no interest in it. You know, I'm not talking about their money. And I got to be honest with you, I am a boxing fan. I am a fight fan. So I am going to talk about the quote-unquote nobodies. Because to me, to be a fighter in itself deserves a level of respect, you know, because it's dangerous. So I'm going to talk about the O'Shaquie Fosters and the John Fernandezes and the other guys that were on that undercard that night. I will make a separate video talking about those fights. But for me, boxing, peep the name. Let me give you a little bit of history on Ballroom Boxing. When I started training at Mac Lewis's gym, we used to go to the fights. This is when I first started going. I never got into the amateur program. I never had to, you know, get my hands registered or anything like that. But anyway, I'm not going to get into all that. So we used to go on the East Coast in Baltimore, what they called the Ballroom Boxing, you know. And they actually used to come on the public access channel, and sometimes on ESPN Friday Night Fights, you know. And I was very glad to be a part of that. That was a very pivotal benchmark in my life, and that's why my channel is named Ballroom Boxing. And if you look at my intro, Ballroom Boxing lives on, because I don't know if they're still doing ballroom boxing, but if they're not, it lives on through my channel. Hence the name Ballroom Boxing. You know, I like the amateur fights. I like the quote-unquote nobodies, you know what I'm saying, who get in there and push it to the wire, you know what I'm saying, so they can make a name for themselves. To me, they hold the true meaning of the sport. And now let me segue into this other half that I wanted to talk about real quick, and kind of my disappointment with fighters in just about any generation, in this generation and subsequent generations who have all done this, where you when you're hungry, you come into the game, you're calling people out. You know, it looks like other fighters are ducking you and running from you, because their favorite lines are, once they've reached that level, you know, that prestige in their career, becoming a champion or whatever. Now all of a sudden, when the guy's coming up wants to challenge you, you know, you hear guys say this, you know, after they make it, you know, I'm going to give those young guys a shot. I'm not going to do them like everybody else did me and told me I got to fight somebody with a name and with a belt before I can get a chance to fight them. I'm going to give them a shot. You know, Keith Thurman said that about Errol Spence, right? Errol Spence is saying that about Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't stop. And I watched a video by 7-8, and he actually mentioned this, and that was it was actually a good point. You know, it's like everybody starts reading from the same script once they get to a certain level. You know, and my thing is, I love boxing, and I love the lower tier fights, because to me, those guys are hungry for boxing. Like, we all want all of the fighters we like to be hungry for boxing. I mean, that's all I got to say about that. I will do another video talking about those other fights on that card. Anyone who's interested is welcome to watch. If not, watch something else. I'm out. Peace.